historical segment because it was 7 years ago today that the championship ascension ceremony happened on the Slammy Awards, where in Seattle, Washington, they had the John Cena, Randy Orton. They brought their belts out, they put them on the thing. They had all the former champions from CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart to Alberto Del Rio, Jack Swagger, and the Great Khali. All the greats were out there. And obviously it's famously known for when the crowd turned on the segment and went rogue for Daniel Bryan. You watched it back today, and this was, I guess, in story going to be the beginning of setting up the Punk and Triple H match at WrestleMania the following year, which never happened. What did you think watching it back today? We're 7 years removed from it. It's a chaotic segment.
It is. I mean, it was really funny with the fans hijacking and the segment and taking it over, and there was definitely some ad-libbing there, which is always fun to see in pro wrestling, and especially in WWE where everything's scripted word for word. There was moments in it that were really funny, like when Stephanie's putting Triple H over as like the pinnacle, and of all the champions there, he's the most prestigious. He's the biggest star and the best champion of them all. And CM Punk's there in the background, laughing with his head in his hand. I mean, that was really funny. I'm not sure that was scripted as part of the story that we would see develop as this segment wore on. But that he wasn't acting there, and that he was just thinking, oh my God, not again. And then the fans start chanting for Daniel Bryan, and he's there just cracking up. And then John Cena, you've got to give him credit for this one. And that old rascal, he basically pulls Daniel Bryan into view, basically takes advantage of Daniel Bryan's popularity and celebrity in Seattle, Washington, and tries to get the rub from Daniel Bryan and tries to persuade people to cheer him and boo Randy Orton. Of course, at the start of the segment, as soon as Cena started speaking, everyone's booing him out of the building. I mean, I thought Cena it was a very intense promo that he cut on Randy Orton. None of the logic of it didn't really stand up to any scrutiny. I mean, that was Cena's problem on all of his promos really didn't make any sense if you thought about it for more than a nanosecond. I mean, he's there talking about Randy Orton having had everything handed to him. I mean, this is John Cena, the plucky underdog who had to fight from the streets. No one ever gave him a chance. So, I mean, that there was just ridiculous. But I mean, it was entertaining for a lot of different reasons. Partly because lots of things happened that weren't supposed to. Partly because Cena did try and divert some of those cheers into his direction, and then did very smartly work that into his pre-planned dialogue. In which he was going to knock Randy Orton as this, silver spoon, this guy who'd had everything handed to him by the company, like as if Cena didn't as well. This is the reason why people booed Cena, for God's sake. So, and then it all broke down into this big scrap at the end. And I think it was really interesting going back and viewing it and imagining what would have happened had CM Punk not quit the following month. So that was really interesting just to see, Shawn Michaels, he super kicked Daniel Bryan, didn't he? After Bryan had nailed Triple H. That's right.
He super kicked Punk because Punk had went for Triple H because they were setting up, and then Bryan did his yes kick to Shawn.
The running knee. That's right on Shawn. Forgive me. And
I remember Shawn had said on the tour that we did with him a couple of years ago that one of the things that he wanted to do after the Hell in a Cell match was kind of give something back to Daniel Bryan because he didn't intend to have a match. So you can see that. I can imagine Shawn probably said, look, if it was scripted that he was going to super kick Punk, I can see Shawn probably going, let Bryan kick me or something. Let him just get something in. But it's mad to think, that was December the 9th, 2013.
Yeah.
At that point, the plan was for Daniel Bryan to not be in the Royal Rumble and then potentially face Sheamus at WrestleMania. And it just, to me, it's even, I watched it earlier today, and watching that crowd, especially right now when we don't have crowds, was just like, Jesus, it was so intense. And I mean, even at the time we knew, right, that the fans are going to reject anything that's not Daniel Bryan. They had made their decision that he was the guy and nobody else was going to, whether it's Batista, whether it was Roman, like they wanted Daniel Bryan.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, so Triple H had thrown CM Punk down, then CM Punk started laying into Triple H, which was all supposed to be the foundations of their program. They were supposed to have a match at WrestleMania, weren't they?
Yeah,
CM
that's right.
And Triple H. And then you're right. Then Shawn Michaels ends up nailing CM Punk for nailing Triple H, and then Bryan has that spot where he hits the running knee, and the place erupted. And then Stephanie was knocked down
because Randy Orton goes for Cena or something, and Cena gets out of the way, and Orton falls into Stephanie, and Stephanie's then so they've got this ending where they've got, you know, Randy Orton, Triple H pedigrees Randy Orton because of course he does.
Yes,
and so the heel headline guy gets pedigreed by the executive, but so Orton's on the ground. And then Cena's helping Stephanie up with Triple H. And then we're looking at Cena. I'm guessing the idea was supposed to be, whose side is Cena on? Whose side is Orton on? But the whole time, the entire crowd are chanting for Daniel Bryan, who we can't see in the shot anymore. Yeah. He's walking up the ramp. We can't see him, but the crowd are still chanting for him. It's such a mad segment.
Yeah, I mean, it was a turning point for Bryan's career. I mean, he talked about it, didn't he? Was it in his retirement promo, his original retirement promo? Was it his comeback promo? He did make references to this segment.
I think it was the retirement one, because the retirement one was also in Seattle.
Yes,
it was at the same arena.
Yeah, that's right. So I know he made reference to it, and it was a seminal moment in his career. It was a turning point, where it was like, I think he was almost thinking of quitting and wasn't sure what he was going to do. And, just the power, the raw power of that response to him, and the embrace by the audience and the love that they showed for him, that proved to him that, he was a big star in this company. Okay, it was his home state crowd, but a lot of people really liked him over the guys who were pushed as the biggest stars in the company. And like, it wasn't just Cena and Orton in there, of course. It was, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, even the great Khali. They were cheering him over the great Khali. Mark Henry and all these other people, The Miz. So we had, that was a huge moment for him. And I think, we often say, WWE doesn't listen to its audience, but it absolutely did in that case. And, that was a turning point in his career. I think WWE realized that WrestleMania was going to be ruined if they didn't give the audience what they wanted. And they ended up doing that. I mean, I always think it was one of the greatest stories WWE has told, certainly in the last 10 years. Bryan's journey to the title at WrestleMania 30. And I didn't really want to allow myself to believe that it might happen, because we'd been let down so many times. We've been fooled so many times by WWE. I thought they're setting us up for another fall here. I don't want to feel like I've been duped by them again. And on the night, they gave us the match and the outcome we all wanted. So, and I think this segment was the start of that. So, I would urge anyone to watch it who hasn't seen it or hasn't seen it recently, because it is really entertaining in many ways for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, the December 9th, 2013 Raw is when it all started, and I think tonight I'll probably go home and watch the 2014 Rumble just to, cause myself pain. But yeah, anyway, that's about all the time we've got for today. So Finn, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week. Probably some Christmas shopping, maybe.
Yeah, some Christmas shopping. And by the way, Kenny, I've just looked up the label for that item that we got from TK Maxx, and you were right. The RRP was £370.
Well, RIP the Martin memory for the RRP of 370. But listen, we will be back next week with more, and then in 2 weeks we'll have a Christmas special as well, so plenty still to come. So please do check it out on itrwrestling.com or listen to it whenever you get your podcast. So thanks for listening or watching, whatever way you consume this, and we will talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.